Hi guys, this is Sharifa Thar with ST Law Office. You're now tuning into my show, Ask an Immigration Attorney Live. As you can see, there's a different setting today. I am not in my office doing the recording. I am doing it outside, so anything can go down. Okay, I have kids and I have dogs, so you might see a dog scurrying by or a kid coming to interrupt. But that's fine as long as I'm here and I'm here to answer your questions. That is what matters to me, and I hope that's what matters to you. All right. So, what I am going to do is first just give you a little disclaimer. Now, I am here to answer your nagging immigration questions. However, I cannot give you personal legal advice. I can give you general information based on what's going on in current events of immigration law, um, which is very general, and that will be enough information for you to determine whether you need to seek further legal advice or maybe what other steps you should be taking. But please, by all means, make sure you get a personalized legal consultation to make sure you are going about your particular situation um, in the right way. All right. So let me explain that you can put your questions in the you can put your questions in the All right. You can put your questions in the comment box and I will go ahead and answer your questions. I see Ray J, you're saying it's too low. Is it the volume that's too low? If you can hear me now, if that is the volume, just let me know. Just put it in the comment box. That way I can address what problem you're having. But in the meantime, let me move forward. So go ahead, put your questions in the comment box. Okay, can you hear me now? I hope that's yes for you can hear me. Go ahead and put your questions in the comment box and I will go ahead and answer. It seems like, Ray J, if you have a question, just move forward with asking your question and tell me again if you can or cannot hear me. But in the meantime, you can go ahead and ask your question. What I will do is I have a couple of questions myself that I have a lot of frequently asked questions. I get those often, so I just want to address those here. It may be something that you may also need the answer to. So while I wait for your questions to come in, let me go ahead and start with the FAQs that I get on a regular basis. So, the first question I get is a loaded question, and it is extremely broad, but I'm going to try to break it down as much as I can. Okay, so Ray J, I see you have a question. So, I was in Canada on a week program and didn't work the and didn't I didn't. I think that is it. Leave the country, and I put in two extensions. So, Ray J, first of all, if you are I'm in the USA. I'm a U.S. immigration attorney. I don't address Canadian immigration issues. I would urge you to contact a Canadian immigration attorney. I'm sorry I can't answer your question. Um, but yes, so that would definitely have to be directed towards a Canadian immigration attorney. All right. But thank you for tuning in and thank you for your question. All right. If I got that wrong, just let me know if you're talking about the US. But based on what I'm seeing here, I see that it's a Canadian immigration question. All right. Okay. So I'm going to move forward with um, the questions that I get um, here in the US based on US immigration issues. So the first one is, how do I get a green card in the USA? So a green card is permanent residence, and which means that you basically get permission to live here for a number of years. You can basically do a lot of what a citizen does. Okay, thank you, Ray J. I'm sorry I couldn't help you. All right, but let me continue. So in order, you can do so many different things here, almost similar to a U.S. citizen, except you cannot claim U.S. citizenship and you cannot vote. There are certain things that you absolutely cannot do, which may lead, um, do the same as a citizen, which may lead to further immigration problems. But other than that, you can live here, you can work here without having to seek additional permission to work here. And you can do that as long as your permanent residence remains valid. So there, I broke it down into um, four ways that you can obtain permanent residence. It's very general. I'm not going to break down every single way, but it's to give you an idea of maybe something that you would like to pursue if there's a category. So there are four categories. There's the family immigration, employment immigration, humanitarian immigration, and then there's the business immigration. So with the first one, if you have certain relatives, those relatives include your um, so your parents, your sibling, your children, and if you are right. So those are the general categories of individuals who can sponsor their relatives to come here. With employment based, so employment immigration, certain employers can go ahead and sponsor their employees for permanent residence. Those are broken down into different categories, the most common being the EB1, EB2, and EB3. Then you have humanitarian. So the humanitarian um, immigration involves individuals who are in danger in a foreign country. They come here to get help, such as asylum seekers. So if they're facing persecution, they fear persecution, they can come to the United States and apply for asylum. And once granted asylum, that is a path to permanent residence after, I believe, 5 years. There's a U visa. So if you are the victim of certain crimes, if you scroll through my past videos, I explain about the U visa in a number of my videos. You can check that out. And the T visa, the VAWA. So that the VAWA is for individuals who are being abused by their U.S. citizen or LPR certain relatives. So it has to be specific relatives. Um, they're facing abuse or extreme cruelty, and the person refuses to sponsor them. So that person, the victim, can then go ahead and file for permanent residence themselves. And then the business, so this involves investment. So the EB5, which requires a minimum of $900,000 to invest in the United States in a business with that meets certain criteria, you can pursue permanent residence through that as well. So if you are really interested in pursuing one of these categories that I described very generally, if you need to figure out if you fit into, if you specifically qualify, I urge you to seek help, and that is something I can definitely help you with. You can give me a call at 561-454-8889 to discuss your options. But if that is something you're interested in pursuing, if you're in the United States, you're outside of the United States, we can sit down in a consultation to decide what you should pursue, figure out when is the right time to apply for you, and then go ahead and get started on your case. So I'm going to move on to the next question. And the next question, so I'm going to say it again. If you're tuning in, please go ahead, type your questions in the comment box. I will see your question and I will go ahead and answer your question on the spot. Um, but in the meantime, I also have some FAQs that I'm addressing, and it may apply to you. So you may want to sit down and listen for the duration of the show to see if you get an answer to your question, or you can simply ask yourself and you can get an answer. Um, okay, so let's move on to the second question. The second question is: I am living in the United States without a status. My mother is a US citizen. Can I get a green card through my mom? Okay. So I know the mother is a US citizen, but my first question would be, how old are you? And what were the circumstances of your entry into the United States? Let me explain why. So, if you are under 21, and you are in the country, you entered the country legally with a visa, for example, you uh, may qualify for the as an immediate, so for the green card as an immediate relative of your mother, who is a U.S. citizen. So even if you're here without status, you will not be barred from seeking permanent residence in the United States. You can go ahead and apply while living in the United States and adjust. It's called adjustment of status in the United States. Then obtain your permanent residence. So that is one possibility. If you are over 21, another thing is if you're under 21 and you are unmarried. So if you are over 21 or married, um, then you fall into a different category. You are no longer the immediate relative of a U.S. citizen, and then your status definitely is very important. Since you are out of status, you with certain there are certain exceptions. So, like for example, the 245I may qualify you to stay in the United States and adjust status. However, if you don't fall under that category, which is a little more complicated, but if you don't, that's the only exception I can think of right now. If you don't fall under that exception, and you are without status and you entered without inspection, then you will not be able to qualify for adjustment of status. Doesn't mean that your mother cannot sponsor you. She can still go ahead and submit the petition, but you're going to have to go through extra hoops to get that permanent residence. So, for instance, your mother could file a waiver, basically asking for forgiveness for your unlawful presence in the United States. So, if you've been here for a number of years without status, you've likely accrued um, unlawful presence, and that makes you, once you leave the United States, you are barred from re-entering the United States. However, that waiver is a waiver that you can, your mother, you can apply for, but you have to base it on your mother's extreme hardships if you are not permitted to re-enter the United States. If that, and you can stay here while that waiver is pending. Uh, Once approved for that waiver, it's not guaranteed, but if you are approved for the waiver, then you can go. So once your mother files the petition along with the approved I-601A, that's the unlawful presence waiver, you can then go to your final interview in your home country. So you travel outside of the United States and attend the interview. The unlawful presence will not be held against you. One thing I need to caution you on, though, is that you will not qualify for the unlawful presence if you have other types of inadmissibilities that apply. For example, if you have a criminal record that renders you inadmissible to the United States, then you will not be able to you'll not be able to use the I-601 a provisional waiver. You'll have to use a regular waiver, which will mean that it requires you to stay out of the United States while it's pending. So those are the two scenarios that I can think of. Very complicated, but I think I have explained it in the most general way I can. If you are in the situation, please, please, please get legal advice about what what you qualify for, and then get help with preparing your application. It's so important that it's prepared very well, that you know exactly what's expected of you, and that you put together a thorough and well documented waiver application just to increase your chances of success. So if you would like assistance, you would like my help, which I can help you with, give me a call at 561-454-8889. We can schedule a consultation, sit down, and get started on your case, all being well, and you qualify, which I can definitely tell you if you qualify once we are in that consultation. So let's move on to the next question. So they found marijuana in my blood during the medical. So the medical is basically that medical that has to be done before the final interview. I got, and that's the interview for the green card. Just want to make sure you guys know what context this is in. I got denied, so they went to the interview and got denied. And how can I fix this? So there's no waiver that is available. So if you're in the situation where I'm sorry about that, guys. I had a technical difficulty. So if you are denied because because of drug use, illegal drug use, then you are inadmissible as a drug abuser. And there is no waiver for that, but you can reapply, and then you would have to prove that you have gone through rehabilitation and you're no longer a drug abuser. So you will have to go through another medical, and you'd have to be monitored for some time to show that you have continuously um, been drug free for a period of time, and then present that in another interview to the officer. And if the officer is satisfied that you have been rehabilitated and you're no longer a drug abuser, then you can um, possibly move forward with your case. Keep in mind now, a drug abuser and a drug trafficker are two different things. So being a drug trafficker comes with a lot more. The drug abuser issue is a big problem, but the drug trafficker issue opens another hellgate. So make sure that whenever there's some sort of drugs involved, drug convictions, drug arrest, drug use, um, you definitely consult, first of all, your criminal attorney should work with an immigration attorney to make sure that whatever result you get in your criminal case, you are fully advised about what kind of immigration consequences that's going to have. All right. So let us move on to the next question. I was arrested for disorderly conduct. I have a pending green card application. Will they deny me? So, disorderly conduct is not, I think, it does not have major immigration repercussions. However, I never just generalize and say, definitely you're not going to have any issues. I would have to look at the particular facts in your case to see what happened, what's the level of seriousness? Is it a victimless crime? Is there a victim? What was the excuse me, guys. There's a biker on the other street. Tell you. Anyway, um, so you will have to. I would have to evaluate all the circumstances surrounding the criminal conduct to determine whether it's going to lead to a problem. Um, and it's a more it's um, sometimes criminal matters require detailed legal analysis because from state to state the crime may be treated differently, and so the laws are different, and then that has to be matched with what the immigration law says about that the facts in certain crimes. So a crime can definitely be a problem. It could render you inadmissible. However, in this case, um, disorderly conduct, while I hesitate to just say it's not going to be a problem, it's likely not. However, you definitely have to explain what happened, and you definitely have to make sure that you present your case in a convincing way so that the officer can see through it and see your true character, and that this was a one-off thing and not a repeated, you're not a repeat offender. It's just maybe you were protesting, right? And you know, maybe that, you know, while you were protesting you got arrested. You're not a repeat offender, right? Once again, I apologize, guys. I am not in my office, so I have a lot of variables going on. I have dogs barking, a biker on the other street, and the kids screaming. But as I said before, what matters is I'm here to answer your questions, and I hope that you don't mind all of the commotion going on, right? Okay, so next question. Um, So, can a green card holder sponsor another person? That's an extremely broad question, but my short answer is yes. The, the process may not be as fast as an immediate relative of a U.S. citizen, but definitely a permanent resident, so a green card holder or a permanent resident can definitely um, apply for someone else, like a spouse, so their spouse or their child to come, or child or son and daughter to come to the United States for their permanent residence. All right. Okay. So I'm currently in. Let me just check if anybody else did anybody. As I said before, please feel free to submit your questions. Type your questions in the comment box, and I will answer. So go ahead, feel free to do that, and I'll answer it here on the spot. Right now, we have roughly 6 minutes left. So please, if you'd like to have your questions answered, make sure you do it before the 6 minutes is up. In the meantime, I'm going to read my questions that I get asked a lot, and feel free to type at any time. Okay? All right. I was arrested for a DUI, but it was reduced to reckless driving. Will this affect my renewal chances? So my short answer is it may, very likely, but you now with a DUI, that's it. It's basically a wrap. DUI is considered a major misdemeanor, and so as a DACA recipient, you would not qualify for a renewal. Um, but please, make sure you get an opinion of an attorney. Make sure you get the attorney to, such as myself, to review your particular situation before you count yourself out. Um, but generally speaking, DUIs, a DUI does bar a person from getting DACA. However, if it was reduced to reckless driving, then there is a chance that you could make a very good case why you shouldn't be barred and convince the officer that you should still be granted DACA. So that is really a question. It's down to basically the facts in your case. But I would say it's very important to get an attorney involved to advocate and to put together the right packet for you to convince the officer, because the officer, though you are not automatically barred by reckless driving, the officer does have discretion to deny the DACA based on that conviction. And please also note there's a difference between being arrested and being convicted. So in most cases, in many of the cases, a conviction is what matters. Even though you must disclose all arrests, a conviction and arrest are two different things. So just keep that in mind. So even if you've been, so in this case, that you were arrested for a DUI and it was dropped, you still do have to disclose that you were arrested. However, you were not convicted of a DUI, so that does not count you out for DACA. Okay. So let's see. My girlfriend and I have a long distance relationship. She travels to the US from Brazil to see me. She came here and then got stuck because of COVID-19. Can we do the fiancé visa here? So, no, you can't do the fiancé visa here, but if you are willing to get married here, so circumstances have changed, she's now stuck, you had planned to get married before, she's here, you could get married, and if you are a US citizen, then you would be able to file the petition for her to get her permanent residence while she's living here. Of course, that's an extremely personal decision. You have to make sure you're ready to get married, that you both want this, and that you're ready for the long-term investment. But theoretically, she can stay here and apply for her green card as long as you're married. But you cannot do a fiancé visa while she's here in you could file, so you could file the petition, but of course she has to go back and she cannot overstay her visa. She would have to go back to Brazil and wait for the fiancé visa to be approved in Brazil. So I'm not saying you can't apply. You could still apply for her while she's visiting, but she can't stay here and wait for it to be approved and stay here on a fiancé visa. Okay, she has to attend an interview at the embassy in Brazil, or whatever embassy, wherever she lives in Brazil. Okay. Okay, so here is the last question, and this is: I have U.S. citizen children. One is 18, and the other is 7. I have no status. Can the 18-year-old sponsor me and their brother? So I'm assuming the brother is the 7-year-old child. So in this case, so in this case, no, not yet. Your 18-year-old would have to wait until they're over 21 to sponsor you, to file the petition on your behalf. And this is where it gets murky. So you fall, as a parent, you fall within the category of an immediate relative. So you get the perks of being in the United States without status, possibly accruing unlawful presence, and you get the perk of still being able to apply for your green card while you're in the United States. The downside is your 7-year-old, who is also the brother of your 18-year-old. They would fall into a different category, and that would not be as an immediate relative. So they would not be able to apply for the green card under the category. So they would have to, in order to adjust status here, your 7-year-old would have to have legal status here, and 7-year-olds don't, so minors don't accrue unlawful presence, but they still have to have legal status here. So your 7-year-old would have to go back to their country to go to the embassy. However, the application could take 18 months for you as the parent, it will not take the same amount of time for the 7-year-old. Right now, I believe for a U.S. citizen to sponsor a sibling, it's 12 years. So I believe it's 12 years, but of course, timelines change. It could be more, it could be less. So your child would have to be here without status for that long, waiting for their permanent residence. Of course, there's also so it's a tough situation, and it is one of those things that I don't think Congress considered when they were making these laws, because now you have a 7-year-old that's left out in the cold, which is just crazy. But what the next best situation is for you to become, when you become a permanent resident, you could move to sponsor your 7-year-old. And when you become a U.S. citizen, if the application for your 7-year-old is still pending, you could, become a U.S. citizen in that time, and then your 7-year-old could eventually become a permanent resident. But in the meantime, unless there's another immigration benefit that your 7-year-old qualifies for, unfortunately, it would take a little longer for them to obtain permanent residence, and it would not be through your 18-year-old. All right. So guys, that's all I have for you today. I didn't get any additional questions, but please feel free to send your questions through direct message, and I will answer your questions in a live session like this. You could also just wait until my next live and tune in again and ask your question. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope to catch you again. And if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, please make sure you consult me, because I can help you. I can jump on your case, get started as soon as we sift through your situation and find what's best for you. Okay, you can call me at 561-454-8889 to schedule a consultation to sit down with me and talk through your issue, because I'm here to help you achieve your goals. I'm here to fix your problems, and I'm here to help you to avoid devastating mistakes in your immigration case. All right. Have a good one, guys. Thank you again. Bye.